I mean, this is cutting it bleeding fine.
I know, yeah.
How are you, sir?
God bless traffic. It's like a 50-50, isn't it? Like,
Well, I know you've only lived in LA for, what is it, coming up to 2 weeks?
Well, it's 11. I got in here at 11.
And Jim Bob's walking all over the live shot, but that's fine.
Well, you know.
Hey, Conman's here as well.
Yeah, he drove
Okay,
me.
so this is a new setup.
Good.
And I don't really know what's going on. Hopefully we get some
I have no
direction.
idea ever what's going on, so it's okay.
But just to recap, Mr. Director, we should be seeing some people log on and issuing some questions shortly, yeah? Okay, so that's, I believe there's a
yeah, we do
delay.
this through Google. You're doing this through Google, yeah, and yeah, we do this.
Now,
yeah, it's great.
What we'll do first off, and again, forgive me if you've already logged on and I'm waffling, introduce my friend Warren Huart. Most of you will know who he is, but maybe, I don't know if you want, because the last one we did, that's all dead now. So this is our first Don't Forget Your Lunchbox.
Okay, good.
So what we're going to do, we'll have a bit of a chat.
Right.
And up here, that's more of a live screen. This has got a bit of a bit of latency, because we'll chat a little bit, and then we got a camera out there, and if we can, impose on you to give us some mic techniques. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, let's do it all. It'll be fun.
We've got patched in. We've got the MPL, which you've got.
Yep.
I think you've got a 312 as well.
Yep.
We have our G10, which again isn't ready yet, but you're familiar with that.
It's already been featured in a video, hybrid.
Okay. Yeah. And then of course we've got the B15. So
which is probably the best EQ
now.
Used.
What have we got, Jim Bob? We got the MPL going through the B15. No, hang on. We got the MPL with the 57, yeah?
Ribbon through the MPL and MPL through the G10.
Okay, so Justin's gonna kill me. It's an AEA N22. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I have a few AEAs.
Because this is.
We have David Case and we have John Grimshaw on.
Gas mask.
Hey, David.
And
I know
David.
I just listened to one of your mixes, David.
So, again, bear with us. We'll suck it and see. Yeah, I mean, we'll just have a chat for a minute. Then we've got the SG plugged into the 65 amps.
Who's that down there? Says say something.
And then you know, we'll finish it off with a bit of an acoustic jam. I need you to show me a couple of licks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you know.
So,
I'll show you a couple of Chuck Berry
anyway,
riffs.
let's start with let's do it like we've never done this before, and I'm about to say welcome to Don't Forget Your Lunchbox.
We lost the screen with the questions on.
This is the first go around, so forgive the hiccups.
That's all right.
With my good mate Warren Huart. And again, if you don't know this fella, go and Google him. If you do know him, Google him anyway. You get a few hits. So, what have you been up to, mate?
Just taking it easy. No, just finished Christian Castro's record, who's like a huge Latin star, and
Any relation
to Fidel.
Yeah.
Who knows? Well, actually,
they may all be, you know.
Well, it's a big Spanish name. Yeah. No, his dad is a very well-known Mexican comedian, and his mother is a very well-known Mexican actress.
Right.
And he was jetting all over the place. It was interesting doing a record because he's like, "Oh, I can't come in this weekend." I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Oh, I'm singing for the Pope." You know, the Pope was down in Mexico like a few weeks ago, so he flew back. And I was like, how was it singing for the Pope? He was like, he was really nice. And I was thinking, you know, he's going to be on stage. He's like, no, the Pope was there and I was here. So I'm like, oh, I suppose you are a big Latin star if you're like personally singing for the Pope.
Well, yeah, bloody hell.
And his aunt is married to the president of Mexico. So he's quite connected. So it was a different kind of experience to me because you have like the rock stars that we all know, you know, the Tylers and all that kind of stuff. And they're obviously very big rock stars, but then you see like these Latin guys. I mean, they are massive because they're like old school entertainers that you and I grew up with. They're like singers, actors, personalities, celebrities. You know, as opposed to like lead singer of rock band. Yeah, these are like these huge. So it was an interesting record to make because I'd have him for 3 days and then he disappeared to go and do something entertainery kind of thing.
Right.
He's kind of a Sinatra kind of all-round entertainer. So it's been doing that, and of course, you know, Ace's record.
Right.
And we've been talking about that. I just did an interview for Reverb.com. It'll be out in a couple of weeks about the recording of the guitars, and they said, how did you record the guitars? So I said, JMP Marshall Head, 57, BAE 312, straight to Pro Tools, and that was for Slash, that was for Ace, that was for Lita Ford, that was for John 5. Every single one of the guys had the same chain.
I was going to say, because they all played on his record.
They all played on his record.
So
same chain for every person. Everybody, they were just like, sure, sounds great.
I had an idea a while back about doing something like that. For example, just using the same guitar, even same amp, same chain entirely, and having someone do a riff.
Yeah.
But because of the human element,
so different.
It's going to sound different, and I wanted to tap into that.
Idea.
Do you know what I mean?
I was crazy.
I was talking to.
We did dueling guitars with Slash and Ace playing on my couch. Both sitting on the couch playing. Both playing Les Pauls. Both playing through Marshalls. Ace had his 59 and Slash just picked up one of my Les Pauls. Both going through Marshalls, 57, same cab, same everything, same pre.
Right.
And your 312 sound identical. So same pre, and it's just chalk and cheese. You could swap the guitars and they could play. It didn't make any difference. The way they play is so different. And
it's
then John
the
5
electricity
is like,
in your fingers.
And then John 5 comes in, and he's probably one of the greatest guitar players I've ever worked with. Outside of the thing about Ace is one of the greatest guitar players because he just attacks it. Right. But John is just like Paul Gilbert, guys like that. You say, can you play country? And they play country like a country guitar player. Like he plays country like he was born to play country. And then he plays heavy rock, like the best heavy rock guitar player you ever heard. And he play a little jazz, Amazing. And his touch is like this. His fingers barely move. He's like, blah, 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 like complete economy of motion. And then Slash is like somewhere between Ace and him. And then Ace is just, like every note is like a battle. And he's like, but you hear it in the playing. And it's arguable what's better, because when Ace plays a solo, it's like rips your throat, because he just goes, and it's just like it's a physical event, and you close your eyes, you hear it, you feel like the note's being ripped out of something. And then when John plays, it's like it's still got that thing, but he makes up for that passion by having so much knowledge of how to make like noises, because he does these weird pick things, pulls the string off the neck, so it goes, it's so much fun. Like in a week, I got to see like 4 or 5 of the most famous guitar players in the world, like coming in and out while we were finishing up his album, And you're right, the same gear, the same guitar, and it's like a completely different animal,
Yeah, I mean, it seems obvious, but I mean, when you break it down to just the human element, it's not someone's faster than the other, or it's just that. It's like, say, that electricity, whatever it is that's going through your body, that's translating on the neck. And I'm interested in it because I don't sound like that. I mean, you'll know because we worked on my record, and I can play a little bit, but I don't know. It just doesn't sound like there's some. I don't know if I need to cut my fingers off and do a Tone Naomi thing. So it's like, I don't know.
Deliberately removed your fingertips and put plastic on there?
Well, yeah, because I mean, we'll do it. Because I say in a minute, we're
going to do it. Oh, where's the pliers?
We're going to do the,
We should answer some of these questions before I. Because you know me. Once you, are you still smiling? I am. It was a good mix. Great mix. Because you know me. You'll start me off on a tangent, and then you'll just sit there for 20 minutes while I talk too much. So I just interviewed Aspen Pittman, who used to own Groove Tubes. Great guy.
Right, yeah.
And what was interesting was, like, I met my match. I would ask him a question, and then I'd just sit there for 20 minutes, because he's just like, because he's stupidly smart, we lost the questions again. We're having some HDM cable issues here.
They'll pop back. We have to kind of.
Okay, here we go. So, howdy, John.
That's Gas Mask.
Watching sunny Costa Rica, high-end Costa Rica. Say hello to Brazil. Hello, Brazil. No challenges, no questions, just lots of hellos and greetings.
Just lots of hellos. I mean,
here we go. 10 DC compressor. Sound like what classic compressor? Well, he's going to...
Well,
I'll tell you what I
say
think.
first, and you know, we'll... Because
Warren's
used it in the field.
I'm going to be really contentious because like I'll be blunt. I grew up using Neve and API stuff like everybody else.
Right.
The one thing about Neve products that I never liked, and I love everything Neve, is a 33609. I could never figure out how to make it sound good.
Right.
I actually didn't like 4000 bus compressors either. So let's be honest. It's not. I just never was into that. The Focusrite Red was always the one I liked on a mix bus, which a lot of guys use and they stopped making because whatever. The thing is like, I don't know what you did, but it doesn't sound like a 33609, even if you took some of the basic ideas of it. It definitely has the sponginess, and so it definitely feels like the 70s for me, and still my favourite period of music is going to be, like anybody, actually my favourite period of music is very late 70s, early 80s, that's just my favourite period. But the classic period is obviously for most people is 68 to 73. If you put a gun to most people's head, 5 albums of the top 10 in the name would be made between 68 and 73. It's going to be Dark Side of the Moon. It's going to be Abbey Road. It's going to be, all the obvious albums. So this definitely has that 70s sponginess. As to what exactly it is, I don't know. You could tell me how close it is to the 33609 or not. When I say sponginess, it's that kind of like the most exaggerated version of me would be like the Rihanna guitar sound. Where it's not destroying the front transient, because the problem with a lot of early compressors, and when I mean early I mean pre-80s, is that they didn't have enough, the attack and release times just weren't fast enough. Right. So you'd always get that kink kind of transient coming through, and then what would end up happening is you would abuse tape. You'd hit the tape super hard to try and round off the transient. You would use natural limiting inside of the console, like I still do now with an SSL mix bus. You basically smash it too hard and it rounds off your transient. But the problem with Neve consoles, as far as I love Neve consoles, is they don't like transients being smashed. If I take a piano and I hit it too hard, it tends to go and it tends to crunch a little bit. It doesn't do that roundness that the APIs always did. So I don't know what you did, but it has the sponginess, and it doesn't. I don't have that problem with the attack that I used to have with the classic 33609. I could never get it to do what I wanted to do. Some of the problems with some of the older equipment is it has the overall sound that you want, but the modern spin that you do, the modern spin that do is you understand that these days people want things more up front, more in your face, so you have to abuse the product a little bit more, which you could never do with the older stuff. And I could never get the 33609 to do it, but I can with these. So I don't know why.
Well, real briefly, I mean, the 33609 was AB, and that was, when you're saying sponginess, that's what I equate to that type of sound. This is pure Class A, so that was the main difference. Whereas the 2254s were Class A. Right. But with them, again, the features, they were limited, even at the old Brent days.
See, I didn't even like the 2254s.
Right.
I would use them on an instrument. I could never put them on a mix bus. But Val uses this on his mix bus and makes great records.
Well, this is what we haven't let you demo yet, is the Val one, the DCF. This is a 10DC, which stands for 10 Series Dynamic Compressor. The DCF has the filter, which is a bypass filter, which he has on his mix bus. He loves it for that reason.
Yeah, we interviewed him, he loved it, yes.
So I'll lend you them, because that's one thing I want you to try. I mean, it's the same thing, essentially, with that extra feature. So, in fact, what was the question?
Just basically, what is it kind of close to, and how would you describe it?
And that's probably the closest thing. It is its own animal. I mean, it's 1 dB increments here. Because of Pro Tools.
Eric emailed me earlier today.
We actually, because these were all, set for tape in the day, but for Pro Tools now, you just need a little bit more headroom.
Exactly.
So this goes up to, is it plus 16?
Reverb were asking me about reamping and stuff, and I said one of the biggest deals now is the fact that the amount of gain that you get from your DAW, whatever it is, Reaper, Studio One, Pro Tools, Cubase, is just so astronomical from what we used to deal with.
But that's what I mean. So some of the vintage stuff, the compression's kicking in, before you know it. So that's why we added these, extra features on there. So
well, I think the sidechain. This morning I did my Feedback Friday in the academy, and one of the things I've been talking about with a lot of the guys that send mixes in for me to review is the bottom end.
Right.
And that's going to be a big deal, having the filter, because it sorts the men out from the boys. I remember working with Tim Palmer. I would produce and engineer tracks, in the 90s and early 2000s. And the one thing, I used to listen to my mix. I'd send him a mix, and it would come back, and I'd be like, "Wow, here's my mix sound really close." I mean, he's one of the best mixers in the world. But what's different? And what was always different is he always had a really open, massive bottom end. And to me, that sounds classy.
Right, yeah.
Because it's easy for all of us to get loud and crunchy. And to be honest, these days, with the way plugins are designed, you can almost draw in your EQ.
Right.
You can go, oh, okay, I want my guitar to be this big, and my keyboard to be that big, and my vocal to sit here and here. And, especially with some great... I mean, ever since Waves came out with the REQ stuff, it's just so easy to draw and pull frequencies out and boost and stuff, and almost like paint by numbers. But one thing you can't do is the bottom end. That's a really difficult one because there's so much information in just this tiny little area. Between like 30 and 200, that's your kick, your bass guitar, your low mid of your snare, your low mid of your guitars, like all in that little tiny area of just a couple of hundred hertz. And then you've got like 20 K's worth of information for everything else. Easy to sculpt the rest of it. So I think that the filter is a massive difference.
Well, that's right where it sits, you know what I mean? So
that's a huge difference. And I've been talking to my guys, the academy guys, and one thing I've noticed is like I've been encouraging them to boost some 60 and 40, pull out some 110 of a kick, let the bass breathe. And really it is a case of like, if that's going too hot into your master bus, it's the thing that gets compressed first. So all the definition disappears. So with the filter, you let that stuff pass through and you compress everything else and use that to control the compression. And I know that's the difference when we were testing. Even on the little tiny camera mics, you could hear the difference in Val's mix when he turned it on and off. So it's a great feature. That's really, to me, the best of all worlds, is where you take a classic product and then you tailor it for a modern market, and then you get a win-win. Because you know me, front end, front end, front end. That's what I care about.
And just real quick for people, they can go to Produce Like a Pro, and they click on the Valgaray.
Yeah, watch the Valgaray video. And I think you have a short version of it on your site as well.
Why?
So Eric, he says, Eric had emailed me and told me he was about to purchase the 312, the BAE LUNCHBOX with 1070 MPL. So he's buying that. He goes, does it sound different from the DMP because of it being in the 500 format? That's a Mark question.
We get asked that a lot, and the answer is essentially no. If you do it right, there's no difference. The 1073 type stuff runs on single rail 24 volt. The 500 series runs on plus and minus.
Right.
But you can finagle it so the 24 will work in the 500 format, but it's pretty tricky, I mean, there's so many people doing this format now, and if one of the rails is off, in the module, it can damage your whole rack, or whatever you've got in the rack. So on occasion, and because it's such a small format, a lot of compromise goes on within that space. So we, as you'll see, the MPL is one space wide.
Yep.
And if we can just grab one real quick, you can just see that because it's just it's just two transformers, so we don't have to limit anything. When it's the mic pre-EQ, you can see it's 3 spaces wide because we want to use the same transformers.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying about, there's certain products that do have an EQ in it and it's one space. It's because it's maybe built differently.
Right. Okay, cool.
We can actually see it. We did have, the other camera's knackered in it. Is that working?
Oh yeah, there it is. Cool.
Are we flipping between cameras or do we? Okay, so real quick, Valgaray's great. Greetings from Berlin.
Hello, Berlin.
We're going to be in Frankfurt next week, but
3 of the greatest records of all time were made in Berlin by Brian Eno and David Bowie. Is there any way to keep these questions up? Because I can't get through.
Is the HDMI failing?
Is
It's just cutting in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out.
Gas
One,
mask.
you preferred to record metal guitars at 57 and a 1053, which is just 57, and a ribbon microphone. Really depends. I go to ribbon mics if it's too bright. Simple as that. If it's really crunchy and there's something going on that's I don't like, a ribbon will smooth out the top end. I start with a 57 99% of the time.
We're going to boot the screen in a minute because it keeps going off. Well, what we'll do...
do you have it? Can you turn it around so we can... Because we'll never get... after watching the Ashton Pittman interview, what's your opinion on input impedance? Pittman talked about microphone, how much milk control. Well, it's good actually. You know what's interesting? Aspen was really complimentary about your stuff and vice versa because we talked about how you make the switch. Now, what is it you're doing it on? You're making the switch now so people can actually use it on the front. That he said that's smart because the thing about Aspen is he's obsessed with tube equipment,
Right.
which is a totally different world to what you're in. You know, you're in solid state. But the thing that he's really into is understanding why impedance works with different microphones. And these were designed obviously for ribbons, dynamics, condensers, all having different impedance. And nobody I knew ever knew that you had to take a 1073 out of the actual unit itself, flip the impedance and put it down, which is not a lot of work, but it's definitely more work than most
that's
people
why,
do.
I mean, you can see it in the desk over there. That's why we never put the toggle on the back. We will do it if it's requested because, no one's ever going to do that.
Yeah.
It's just when we did have the the real estate to do it, we did it, and now we put it on the MPL.
I mean, it's a huge difference.
And maybe we'll look at that. We'll get through some of these questions. Then we're going to plug in because not only are we going to show you a bit of mic placement, we're going to show you the difference of how the impedance, reacts to these microphones.
Okay, how close would you say 1073 is printed to the original? I think it sounds exactly like it, but a little bit more open. Sorry. It's what's tough with some of the vintage stuff of any manufacturer is that a lot of, I was talking to Jim Scott about this. Jim Scott has the RCA Neve console. It still has like the RCA thing on it, and he mixes through it. And he had it completely rebuilt.
Right.
And I said to him, "What's it like now? That you've had it rebuilt?" And he goes, "Well, I first used this console in whatever '78, and he goes, it now sounds like it did when it was new." And I think there's a sort of misconception because a lot of people, when they buy vintage equipment, are buying something that's 30 or 40 years old, which is, I don't want to use the wrong word, but I suppose decaying electronics. It doesn't pass current as well as it used to. And so people think vintage, they equate it with being fatter and warmer. Yes, it is. It's fatter and warmer because of discrete hand-wired electronics and lots of really nice, expensive transformers. I mean, those are big reasons why, as we know, why things sound warmer. It's the transformers. And when you buy budget stuff, you're buying cheaper transformers or sometimes no transformers.
Well, that's why, I mean, if I can chime in, is it Billy Rockworld or Billy Rockwood? I haven't got my bins on. It's when you're saying it sounds a bit more open, I think that does come from what you've just alluded to, is it's newer parts, it's newer caps, it's, it's newer transistors.
It's sounding the way it did when it was new.
It's identical. I mean, it's, if we went back in time, we would build it hand, point to point wide the same as they did in the original factory. Same transformers, same switches, same Panasonic caps, same tantalums. And incidentally, we are the only ones using Carnell St. Ives transformers.
Sure.
I didn't know because there's a couple of people making these at the moment, and you'll be surprised what to find in there. In fact, we'll do a whole show, well, not a whole show, but I'll bring the transformers out and I'll show you the history of the Neve transformer.
Yeah, it's important to me to always, when I talk about this stuff, to always talk about like it is, because people do ask me about the budget stuff all the time. They say, "What do you think?" And I just tell them the truth. I'm like, you know what, you there's some excellent products at a budget price, but don't, just because they spray them the same color doesn't mean they're going to sound the same. And there's no disrespect, because if there's a $400 version of something like this, it's going to sound good. Is it going to sound as fat as you want it to? Is it going to sound like what you want it to be, a 1073? No, it's not.
Right.
But it's horses for courses. If you've only got $400, you've got $400. But if you're going to save the money and spend a little bit more, then you'll probably get a little bit more what you want. I'm not in the business of being negative about stuff. For me, it's like you pay for what you get. But the thing about your stuff is like there's somebody else that's manufacturing things at the same price point, but they're using cheaper components. They're not using the same transformers. So if you're going to spend the $900, $800 on this, buy this one. All right. Okay. After watching, actually, okay, I did that one. Warren mentioned Tim Palmer, who produced Mission UK. He's wicked. Yeah. Tim's a great guy and he's very, very generous with his information. 10cc is amazing. Use it pretty much on everything. Great.
Can everyone see these questions? Okay.
Great. Hey Stu, how are you, mate? I've listened to a lot of 1073 and sound better than the new Neve. Can you talk about? Ooh, he's contentious. He's asking why does. Maybe that's the one you don't want to answer.
Well, I think I just mentioned it in the last.
Yeah, let's say that he said he already mentioned it.
Well, no, I mean,
without being specific.
If I can, let me just say, we use Colonel St. Ives transformers. That may,
Right. BAE is the best thing since sliced bread and paper clips. Hey, MT. How are you, mate? I have a single channel and blah blah blah. Models close enough to that sound. I could have another single unit and use as a stereo pair. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot. I have a pair. I have 4 or 5 312s. I have 1028. I have 1028, 1073. A pair of 1073s that we take with us when we go to other studios, and I use them on stereo sources like overheads and rooms, and they're perfectly matched. So the answer is yes, you could buy another one, and you could match them. I own a 1084. Simply amazing.
I think we give him a name check though, and then we know we're showing him a bit of love. You know what I mean? Can you read that? It says Lucas, doesn't it? Before that, Henrik Berggren. I need to get the screen bigger.
Lucas. Yeah, hey Lucas, how are you, mate? There's a 312 dual channel as well, worth every buck. Sold my other preamps and never looked back. Yeah, I mean, without even talking about BA and just talking about in general, once you move into this world and you are using Class A, proper, discrete, hand-wired products with real transformers in it, the good thing is you buy this and you don't have to, and this is not a sales pitch, I'm just talking about quality equipment. When you get to quality equipment, you won't ever have to resell it. People hit me up all the time with like, I bought this $300 or this $400 product and I'm thinking about buying another $400 product. I just say, stay with your $400 product for a year, save your extra $400 and then buy an $800 product like that, $900 product, and you'll never have to buy another one. It's just, I watch people buy and sell middling equipment.
Right.
And I feel bad because I think to myself, you're going to buy 5 different $500 products. Just spend an extra $300, $300 or $400, and just never buy another product.
Dan Boole, our friend, who's we're using his amp at the moment, he had a great saying. He said, "I just spent $1,000 trying to save money." What he meant by that was he's bought 3, cheaper mic pre's, but he's going to have to recycle them in a year's time because again, it's not the one he wants. He's always got to go and upgrade. But with this, you don't. Agree. This is an investment as well. It's not just
if you've already got
pre.
The rack, and if you're going to expand into a lot of EQs, then that's the way to go. Get a 6 or 8 or 10 space rack. So my question is, I don't know the answer to this question. What's the DMP price point these days?
Same as it's always been, $11.45.
So like $1,100. So for $1,100 and change, if you buy that one mic pre and you mix in the box, you may never, not trying to only sell one product, you may never have to buy anything again. If it's like save your money and buy one, or buy, if you want to get EQs and compressors, buy a LUNCHBOX and start adding stuff to it. There's a lot of flexibility. And just speaking outside of BAE, if you get a LUNCHBOX and you get a few of their pre's and you want to experiment with a tube pre from somebody else, whatever. The point is that this is, for me, if I was doing it all over again and I didn't have 25 years of buying gear, in the way the world is at the moment, I would just take my 6 or 8 space LUNCHBOX and just travel to different people's studios and houses and make records. I mean, to me, it's like, it's all about front end. I mean, summing's good, consoles are great. I own 3 consoles. I mean, God bless it. But the biggest difference in quality these days is going to be a nice mic going into a nice mic pre. Even EQ and compression is kind of doable these days in the boxes. But if I was only to buy one thing, it would be a decent condenser mic and a decent mic pre. I mean, if that's all you can afford in your budget, it's going to make your music 10 times better than messing around trying to sum everything. Because summing something is like, it's great, but it's like a pair of transformers. You take this and use it 57 times for your vocal, for your bass DI, for your guitar, for your acoustic guitar. You use it all of those times. You've got this many transformers times 57 tracks, as opposed to a summing amp, which, God bless it, is what are you going to get maximum? A pair of most of them are a pair of transformers on your output stage, and then some op amps.
Right.
And here you've got all this discrete times, you know. And I was talking about this with Andrew Sheps. I mean, he's mixing 99% of the time on a laptop in a hotel room. Well, not a laptop. He takes his like little set, but he takes a little system and mixes wherever he is in the world mixing. And he said he's able to do that because he's being given recordings recorded by people that are recorded with good quality equipment.
Right. Yeah.
So it's all about front end for me.
Well, yeah. I mean, it makes total sense. It's kind of, you know, the signal going to tape.
Yeah.
Anywhere it can degrade. That's why, I mean, not to pimp stuff, but we have cables now because,
Yeah.
you know, you're only as good as your weakest link. So, you
Sure,
know,
I agree.
into your nice BAE Camford cable. Anyway, we do you want to? Should we crank up the?
Talk about the 10DC's favourite application. A friend of mine has a BA tinter and reducer to it. At the moment, I sang through it. I was hooked. Fantastic.
Let's. Are we?
Bruce, how are you? Spend the grand on the preamp or the mic. On the preamp, you know me. I like the LCT 550s. Those are $500-600. Sorry, Louis, but the new Aston that's coming out at $250 from England is insane. There's an entry point now with microphones at $250 that sound good. It's pretty
But I
crazy.
think even, you know, not just because we build mic pre's, that you can, if you've got a good sounding mic pre,
you can use it on any
a
mic.
mic can, you know, this 57's going through it, so you know
Sure.
what I mean. But it doesn't work the other way if you've got like a cheap mic pre and a, you know,
All right,
an old
here's a good one.
telephone gun.
Billy's saying, any tricks with gain staging on the 1073?
We're going to show you that in a minute.
But let me tell you how I do it. And I was talking to Joe Barisi about it, and he just looked at me and went, "That is perfectly correct." Basically, this is just the old school technique I was taught from working in England, and what Joe Barisi does as well. It's simple as this. Okay, so you can leave this wound out for the time being when you're getting gain. But you got your guitar, you got your vocal, you got whatever, you got your bass guitar. You keep adding gain, adding gain, adding gain, adding gain, adding gain, adding gain. Oh, it's distorting. I can actually hear it crunching and distorting. I click one back, that's my sound. So basically there's distortion going on that one click back from audible distortion. But it's all that second, third harmonic distortion is going on, is now just nicely tucked into the signal path. Barisi's the same way. He told me it's exactly what he does. He goes to a point where it's, oh, that's too much. Click one back. That's where you get everything working hard. I don't know what the electronics reasoning for that is, but everything is just on the point of saturation, and I just bring it back one click. And then what I'm invariably doing is I'm bringing back my output stage because this is super hot. So you'll find in most applications, if you look at my pre's or my 312s and my 1073s, they're usually back just over half to about 3/4, and the gain is as hot as they're going to get, and I'm printing a pretty hot signal. I also grew up using tape, so I print signals that are like this. I just do, and I'm used to running things hot. I know in the digital world everybody prints tiny little skinny little signals. I like to, as my mastering guy says, I like to use as much resolution as possible. I like to hit my signal as hard as possible. So that's really my tip.
All right, and we're actually going to plug this in and
Plug it in.
show it. Is the other camera running simultaneously? Okay, so Jim Bob and Con Man, do you want to or do you want to go, Warren? Do you
Sure.
do
Any
you
thoughts on
guys?
catchphrases and covers around degradation?
We are going to lose audio if we don't take a mic with us though. While he's in
Well, he's
Any
on it.
thoughts?
Where's
Musa,
where's
tell me
where
what
they
you think
gone?
of the Aston. Any thoughts on degradation? Yeah, just run the shortest amounts of cabling you can, and as you grow your studio business, just invest in better quality cabling. When I started off, it was all RCAs, it was all cheap Guitar Center. No disrespect to Guitar Center, but the cheapest cables I could buy from Guitar Center, and that was how I did it. You know, with ADATs and all kinds of stuff. But as I've been doing this more, I buy better quality cables. And you're right, run shorter cable lengths, and if you can, run directly in and out of your mic pre straight to DAW.
Okay, so just sorry, while you're doing that, do you have any tips for the gobos? Should we just put them as or do you want to go out and do it?
The amp as much as you can for the time being. There's only so
Okay.
much we can do, you know.
And then
this is the real world, but obviously you've got a camera shot, so.
But with the placement, just give us, you know, a quick.
Well, what I would do is like I would personally go up against the side of the amp as close as possible.
Let's do that.
Put it out, but you are going to block your shot for one of them, so we'll just have to pretend that you're going to do it on both sides.
Well, let's put the mics where they should be. Then we'll, you know, put the gobos up, and you know.
Do we have? Let's have a quick look at the back of this thing. All right, so we've got a G12, which is nice. I suppose the design of this amp has this in the way. Are you hearing me? Anybody?
Okay, hang on. All
right. So I'm not sure how loud it's going to be, but so the design of the amp has this over the dust cover because this is the middle of the speaker. So you're not going to mic that totally. Now, I'll be blunt. I'm not a big double micer when it comes to 2 mics on the front. I find whatever I do, I always hear the phasing issues. When people give me four mic cabs, I usually find the best sounding one and use that only, and then try and blend in a second. I really learned that inadvertently from working with Dave Sardi. We had to mix the Tower of London record, and it was recorded by, I can't remember who recorded it, but they had like 4 or 5 mics on every single cab, and we were remixing it because the label didn't like the mixers, and he just said go through and solo, and I went through and solo over it, and he goes, oh, I like that. And we just muted everything except for one, put it back through the console, printed like a little low mids and a bit of extra top, sent it off to the label, and they're like, wow, the guitar sounds so much better. And it was already there. They'd already recorded it really well. So I'm a less is more when it comes to miking. If I'm gonna do this, I know Barry Rudolph's trick. If Barry's tuning in, we were texting this morning, but Barry would always do that thing with a Royer, not with the AE, but it doesn't really matter because ribbons are figure of 8. Barry would always do that thing where he would put it across and then blend. So Barry's trick is to do, I think you can find it online, is to actually do that, believe it or not. So it goes across it, not front. So you've got the capsules going this way and this way. So because a ribbon is seeing front and back, it's a figure of 8. And then put the 57 as close as you can. So this is really the issue. It's like getting mics to be so close that they're hearing the same sound, or you're going to get phase issues. It's one of the biggest things about mixing. You know, is like muting stuff where there's just phasing. Finding, you know, I see a lot of mixers just take room mics and mute them out and create their own reverberation, or use the room just for energy tracks and don't use them that well because the people that recorded them are not getting their room mics in phase with any instrument that they're recording. It's important if you're going to have a stereo effect on something that the left and right be in phase if you put it into the middle. So that's one trick with Barry, is he does the figure of 8 across it. And I actually think that sounds pretty good when blended in. I personally, the dust cover's here, the edge here, dust cover's going to be super, super bright, you know, the center of the mic. The edge here is going to be the darkest possible point. So Dave Jordan just always did halfway, and then what he would do is he would take a second mic. Do you have a second 57? No. Take a second 57 and then put it behind. So he would go and put it behind. So one way of doing it is to actually do this, believe it or not, which is to follow the angle of the speaker. So the speaker is angled like this. Can you see me on camera? You see me on camera okay? Make sure I don't know what the angle is. So here's a speaker. I can't see myself, so hopefully, here's a speaker like this. So you can put a mic pointing at exactly a right angle to it, so it's moving perfectly to the mic, and then he would put one behind at exactly the same angle. So you have 2 mics opposite each other on it, and that's like Alice in Chains, Jane's Addiction, Dirty Work, Rolling Stones, Remain in Light. I mean, My Life a Bush of Ghosts. I mean, some of the best sounding records ever made. 57 like this, pointed exactly, so the capsule is facing the speaker. So he comes in at this kind of angle like this. Hopefully you can see that on it. And then opposite, where there's a hole here, which there is nicely conveniently on a G12, is the other mic, and it comes up against the back side of the speaker. And then when the speaker's moving, you flip the polarity, so the phase is exactly reversed on the back mic, and it gives you the best guitar sound. because it gets all the lows from the back of the cab, open back cab, and it gets all the top end from here. And if you want it to be a little brighter, of course, you just move like this towards the speaker.
What we'll do now, just for time's sake, we're just going to show what each mic sounds through the MPL or the 312.
Sure.
Because, you know, people are going to take a while to you know, digest what you're saying and go and work that way through.
Sure.
But for now, we just want to show them kind of.
Well, let's say the 57 on this cab and see what it sounds like.
Okay. All right, and then we'll do the go bowls, and then.
And we'll move the mic around a little bit until we get it to sound the way we want it.
Because I know we are.
We've got a nice little Gibson SG here sitting there. You know me, I don't like to play guitar ever.
Switch on the amp, second switch.
Just, can you get the standby? Okay. Oh, we can't really do that, can we?
Can you take it out with the camera?
Okay. Are we muted on this, Jimbo? You might have to come in. Peaking a bit. Okay.
So which one are we on? This first one?
So
this one?
This is on the AEA on 1200 ohm. And this one is your 57. So at the moment you're getting a blend in there if you want to have a quick peep. It's just this one and this one. So I'll take the 312 out.
But that's the... What's on this? I'm not hearing it.
That's the 57.
I'm not hearing
it. It shows the 312B. Yeah?
When not... I'm hearing this. That's the... This is the ribbon?
Yeah.
Sounds fantastic.
You hear anything now?
Yeah, that sounds like the ribbon. This is the ribbon.
This?
Yeah, because I'm hearing
So it's in the A. It's in the 312A.
This is the ribbon, not that. Because I'm hearing on the ribbon.
Alright. So we seem to be having conflicting.
It's definitely the ribbon because I can hear the back of the mic as well as the front.
So the 312 is the ribbon, yeah? Alright, don't matter. Okay. So let's do this again. Just let's mute this. Okay, is it both muted now? Yeah? Don't change it now if it's gone.
57's on the B and the ribbon's on the MPL.
It can't be if we're turning the gain here. Is that... Have we got a gain on that now, Warren?
Yeah, there's tons of room tone in this. Can you scratch that mic? You know what? It's this mic here.
That's the thing.
That's
okay.
B's on the 57 out here.
Yeah, but this is what this is. This mic is on it, not the ribbon.
Okay, so that's what we're getting all combobulated
that's why we're hearing room tone, because we're hearing this.
Yeah. So it is. So
anyway, so
if you can,
what's this? This must be the 57.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
So if we can maybe do one at a time, and then we'll blend them. If we can get the gain similar on both of them, so people can just see a different sound.
Where am I getting the ribbon? Can you go and scratch the ribbon mic, please?
Scratch the mic. Scratch it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's on the MPL. It's labeled on the MPL.
So where's the 57 then?
It should be on the B.
He's saying it's on air.
Hit the 57. Negatory, nothing.
Not getting it? Okay.
Nothing at all.
All right. Well, for now, let's just.
It's going through the G10, so maybe the G10's not firing.
There's no lights on it, is there?
No. But does it have to be on?
David Glenn, rock and roll. How are you, mate?
All right. So let's forget the G10.
Just pull it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great. What year is this? People are asking about the SG.
70 something.
El Lyco.
All right.
Do I get to keep it?
So we're just gonna we just patch through this
Free gift.
without the EQ being on, but we'll just forget the EQ because we can't figure that out. All right, but these mics are confusing it, so let's just mute these for now. Can we mute these two vocal mics?
Cut channel 2 and channel and the 312A.
Okay. So now.
To your V? You have the V?
I'm reading all the comments here.
It's good.
Okay, what have I got now?
So you got the B.
You hear the tapping?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what are you tapping?
The 77 on the V.
Yeah, we got the 57.
And can we figure out the gain on the first MPL to get it similar?
I like this rhythm.
Okay. So let's.
There's a little bit of break. Probably come back on the gain here. That's nice.
Okay. Now, can you still hear the vocal mic, people? I know you won't be able to use Warren's because that's picking up all that stuff. Okay. So, what we'll do,
I like it.
I'll introduce it and then I'll just mute the mic. And so we'll go first. We'll just do MPL first. Then we'll do.
Are we getting digital clipping in there?
Well, it's gone now.
Are we getting... is he hearing me? Hello?
Okay. So anyway, let's
You fall asleep?
go, Mr.
You can hear the vocal mic when you turn it up.
Well, yeah. Okay, so what we're gonna do then? Let's do MPL 1200 ohm. Yeah. And Warren can't hear me now either, and he's sat right bleeding next to me.
I can hear you.
All right, so let's do it.
This is just the MPL 1200 ohm on which
Yeah.
mic?
On the AEA. All right, let's just keep it to a riff that we can then reference to the other one. Do that favor.
Cool.
All right, let's mute that. Let's do 312B. You'll have to do the gain.
Sounds good. It's, well, there's definitely a little bit of a hollowness to it. Quite surprised the AE's got that much mid-range. It does. Black Sabbath.
And then let's try blending, see if we get any phase issues.
A little bit. I mean, we'd have to mess around with mic placement to get the
Right.
phase great. I mean, it's interesting. The ribbon on the 73 sounds fantastic. I'm a 57 guy, and I'm using 312s a lot.
Right.
Like I said, that was what we used with Ace and Slash.
But again, that's pure rock, yeah. So you're getting that, the solidity of it. But for different types of guitar.
But if you asked me blunt, which is the better guitar sound, I would go ribbon with the 73. Yeah.
Right.
That's nice.
All right.
Hearing this? Yeah, I've got people 1073 rules.
And
the
then
N22 is brilliant. Yeah.
let's just do an impedance swap as well. Give me a couple of bars, and then I'm going to switch the impedance.
Cool.
And then mute. That's going to be 4 dBs louder, but give us the same riff. Now,
See you later, Moose.
can we? Sorry,
No, it's cool.
can we get? I just want to get a. I can't hear it because I've got no headphones on. But if
there's definitely more mid-range punch in that.
Between the 1200 and 300, if you guys can hear that, we'll do it one more time, yeah. Maybe. Okay, so.
A little bit of a thump, unfortunately. I prefer it out, to be honest.
That's technically more correct.
It's more natural. That's a great guitar sound. This mic with this pre, great. I prefer it over the 57, which is unusual for me. I always start with 57. But the mid-range is nice on this.
I don't know if this is patched in. Are you hearing that? I'm not sure if it's patched. Maybe we can do that on another show because we've only got like 5 minutes left.
No, it's
NPL's
not
on the
patched
G.
in.
NPL's on the G.
Yeah, well, we'll bin that for now because what I want to do, in fact, just Warren, we've got like 5 minutes left.
Well,
So,
well, I like that combo.
fat and warmer,
mic with the,
definitely can hear the
73.
difference. I'm taking it. David saying I can hear it. That was just a real, rudimentary
Great.
kind of demo of. You keep that on you, Warren, real quick.
Oh.
Of the difference the impedance makes because it is on the front. It's so accessible now. You'll never damage your mic. Like I say, it'll be 4 dBs louder on the 300 ohm setting just because it's transformers in series instead of parallel. There's no rules, so just play with it. Just flip the impedance. If it sounds better on one than the other, then that's the one to use. We're gonna try and format this thing so where we have a bit of tech talk, we have a bit of artist talk, and then we're gonna finish it with a bit of a jam. Now, bit of shameless promotion. I was gonna say, did you work on anything good recently?
I couldn't think of anything. No.
And Warren actually.
Look at that cutting edge cover.
But do you remember? Because not only did we, Warren produced this with me.
Look at that.
He
How much did you spend on design for that?
Well, I paid myself. I didn't want to spend that much. He also played guitar on a number of tracks, and I bet you've forgotten the solo already. But
What was the song?
I've got any picks? Have you got any picks?
You're in E flat.
But so, cheers. Again, we're getting ready to hang up. Again, it's the first one. We're just gonna, iron out the.
Reading all the comments. If you see me doing this, it's because I'm reading comments.
We're ironing out all the. I had no bleeding mic. How come they? Well, anyway, I think you can hear me now. So thanks for tuning in. Oh yeah, sorry. What Warren does this. When we have a guest, what we're going to do is
When you have a real guest,
once a
not me.
month we're going to give away a piece of gear.
Okay,
but we're going to do a question each week, and therefore
What are we giving
that
away?
entices them to to
I've got
tune
a lot
in
of
again.
Academy members on here.
What shall I do?
dying
Shall
for
I
free gear.
shall I give an MPL away?
Who's from England? I am. So's he.
Would you people out there like one of the MPLs? I mean,
Yes.
if they
Can I
don't
enter?
want it,
So an MPL 73.
yeah.
Okay,
So
good.
it's just $1,000 value. I mean, I just want to get this ball rolling. What we'll do a question a week, and on the 4th episode, we're actually going to break next week, go to the Music Meta, even though we just started today. But then we'll come back, and of course, Warren will be here on occasion. We'll do, we'll patch into the EQ, this, that, and the other. But you should give the first question out. It can be anything. It can be music related. It can
first
be
question.
it can be about Chelsea football team. I don't know.
Or Man United.
But just give a question out, and then
I can't do as much as I want to do football. I know David will get it right, and then all the people from England. We've got to make.
so just a simple simple
Yes,
question.
we're doing a giveaway. So we're doing a giveaway of the MPL to all of you that are watching, which is a pretty narrow band here. It's like most of my academies on here. Thank you. Good question. What would be a really great question? Okay. All right. I'm going to make it music related, and let's do. Where? Okay. All right. Why? I'm going to make it a Rupert question.
Delilah.
Why are these painted this colour? Why are they this colour? It's a bit of a vague question, but for those of you who will know, you can research it on Google and find out why is it this grey-blue colour?
So why is the original Rupert Neve faceplate? Because we don't want to say the colour, because that'll give the answer. And so just compile that. Don't keep that to yourself, because again you're gonna compile these questions, or should I say these answers, and then on the 4th show we'll just have a raffle.
Yeah.
And the winner's gonna get that nice 1073 MPL. So good luck, people.
So what email address are you going to send it to?
Oh yeah. Well, again,
Email the
that'll be
answer to-
that'll be on the 4th week, so we don't have to give it you yet. But the email is what is it? It's something. Don't forget your lunchbox. But anyway, we don't need questions yet, unless they've got questions for the next show.
Heinrich says you don't even remember your own email address.
Well, it's the first day. I don't know if we've got one. It's don't forget your lunchbox at gmail.com. There you go. Don't forget your lunchbox at gmail.com. So anyway, we're going to sign off with a bit of
A bit of out-of-tune guitar.
yeah. Can you tune? Close enough for jazz. Yeah. So okay. Well, that was a bit of an impromptu version of Going Through the Motions, which is on Bleeding Aura, which is available
Mark's
now.
selling his CD here, everybody.
But anyway,
with this inventive artwork.
we'll see
He
you.
spent millions on design.
I can't do maths like you can, but it's in 2 weeks' time.
Okay.
We'll see you then, and don't forget your lunchbox.
And email. Can we give the email address?
Well, we don't need it. Yeah. Gmail. Don't forget your lunchbox at gmail.com.
Don't forget